Hi, thanks for tuning in. Today is the 21st of June, 2022. So, just watched and listened to a few clips. Make sure to go to my website, www.susanvling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube channel videos. If you're going to leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect. And make sure to go look through my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanvling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. I did add a new writing. It's a bit possibly ornery in the thought-provoking ways. And it could possibly make a few people think. Possibly. Though in my defense, I would guesstimate in order to be capable to read, you would have to be capable to think. And so I'm going to start out a little bit ornery just because that's how I've always been. Even before my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, which again, I'm going to put the links in the information area so that way you can go see what assisted in this culmination of, and because it's been a little while. It's been a little while. And you'll know if you go and check the links regarding what inspired this official YouTube video of mine, okay? Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, save us that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. So, again, go to my website, www.susanvling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Just saying, despite certain factors as to, if you go read that journal blog that I just posted today, the 21st of June, 2022, despite certain things, I'm still who I am. And so, although a bunch of people I once knew in person, face-to-face in person, possibly even my own biological mother, biological father, and biological little sister, had no idea, probably until much later. Such as in the years after, like 2000, probably not until 2018, 2019, did they ever learn that I knew how to sing the Star Spangled Banner, which I hypothetically, in that hypothetical way. Yeah. So, so there's this situation regarding the Supreme Court justices, and the Supreme Court justices, you have Sonia Mayor, I apologize, Your Honor, if I mispronounce that, saying, she has her viewpoint regarding Clarence Thomas. And so I'm going to give that metaphor in a different capacity. So, I earned my 26 scuba diving certifications, and there have been certain individuals, which I understand that for people who do instruction regarding civilian recreational scuba diving might have a different viewpoint, especially the individuals regarding the 26 scuba diving certifications I earned, because they may have thought that I was doing things in a recreational way. However, I really don't know what would be considered recreational about my scuba diving in the water, earning 26 scuba diving certifications and all. Remember, for those who don't know, in order to become a scuba dive instructor for civilian recreational scuba diving, you need to earn your open water. I earned my National Geographic open water, which obviously is a higher level. And you need to have earned your advanced open water, which, okay, yeah, I earned that. And you have to have first aid and CPR. I earned my AED first aid and CPR certification, which is obviously a higher level. And then you need to have 5 scuba dive specialties. I earned 24 scuba diving specialties. And you have to have a minimum of 100 scuba dive hours, which before I even completed that 16 scuba dive certification specialty course, I earned over 100 scuba dive hours. So when the instructors in scuba diving for civilian recreational scuba divers were surprised that I didn't want to become a registered instructor for civilian recreational scuba divers, I reminded them that I was born and raised in New Jersey, and that I grew up going out to the Atlantic area of the oceanic waters in comparison to lakes, quarries, hot springs, and ponds-ish, depending on what you consider, and then even the Gulf of Mexico, compared to the Atlantic area of the oceanic waters where the Coast Guard trains for the United States of America. So, I just wasn't in the mood to deal with teaching, and anybody who's met certain types of millennials, they can be different ages. They don't actually have to linearly be in a certain birth year, and so there have been times where people thought that I was having an attitude. And so if you go look at my official YouTube channel, and if you go and watch and listen to my most recent official YouTube video for my official YouTube channel, I believe it's the "If You Want Something to Cry About" or something along that in the title, and then you can compare it to even this official YouTube video of mine, you can see the difference. So individuals who didn't like how I would, I am a biological female, and, there was this clip or two, pun intended, that I had listened to Greg Gutfeld with Caitlyn Jenner, get it? And so, pun intended, clip or two, or technically 3, I don't know. I don't actually know how the actual procedure goes. And so, it's... There's these doors right here, and I believe that I just walked into them in a metaphorical way. Pun intended. And so, but you can tell the difference in that capacity of, satirical delivery, in that pun, okay. And so, compared to what I was accused of. So I gave an example, okay. And maybe, just maybe, all of those individuals that have a past history of ever complaining about how I described anything in person, face to face in person, and or social media of whatever. And or my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. Possibly they could have been educated, you know, possibly. And so some might wonder, I don't know, I haven't ever had this question asked, but Caitlyn Jenner did say something on Greg Gutfeld's show. I didn't never forget who I am. Okay. I've had to explain to people, especially in the Austin area of the state of Texas, which is an irony. A bunch of these people had said, "You have better memories." That they actually did do this, by the way. You must remember your better memories from childhood. So there's my updates from a journal blog, The Ornery PSA, which started in the year 2019, and this is the year 2022. And if you go to my book section on my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com, you can look at my book section, and there's Finding a Silver Lining and Finding the Silver Lining, and there's a whole bunch of silver linings that you could find in comparison to what those people tried to claim, because they, in the year of 2010 and in the year of 2011, tried to tell me, you have better memories. You just are upset. Yeah. My journal blog might give a few examples for those updates from 2019 through 2022, where I had made attempts to be, no. I know you people in Austin seem to think that you're the smartest people in the universe. That was back in 2010 and 2011 that they tried to say that. I don't know if they know anybody in civilian recreational scuba diving instructing that would be in the civilian recreational scuba diving way or the lazy scuba diving recreational way. I don't know. However, if so, because there were a bunch in the areas of that tried to tell me that too. Yeah, they tried to tell me that, no, Susan, if you actually remembered correctly, you should be capable to think about something more positive in your childhood. Sure, now I can say, well, I survived that. I don't know if that's really a positive, but sure. So, then there were a bunch of people that tried to do the, and this is a pun intended, maybe 2/3 of a pun, has to that 2/3 of a pun for that pun intended. When they went to put their dicks on the table, as to how their childhoods were, it was one of those, and people who have known me in person, face to face in person, who have had whichever capacity of, where it's like, well, I understand what you're discussing, and so on and so on. I could give you some advice in a proverbial way, how you choose to view it and be capable to, in your own viewpoint, maybe that would, and so, those updates to my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, from the years 2019 into 2020. That's a bit of a 2020 vision pun, maybe 2/3, get it, scuba diving, and into the year 2021 and 2022, which is this year. And so I know when I was originally doing my updates regarding my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. I know I didn't always include the dates, or at minimum the years. It was just one of those, well, you know what common sense is. So I already wrote about how I wound up in Washington State. And so for all of those who have, gotten that scuba dive instructor title, in that comparison to 26 scuba diving certifications. By the way, my top scuba diving certification is cavern scuba diving, because cavern scuba diving is not open water. You have to be capable. Now, by the way, I only earned my cavern scuba diving certification so that way I could properly utilize my gear. And I knew that that translated to having to actually learn how to be capable to scuba dive in caverns. And in the Peacock Springs and Peacock Springs 1 and Peacock Springs 2 area in Florida, those particular areas are extremely small. They're not like the cenotes at all. And so those particular differences regarding open water, where it's literally in the description, open, in comparison. So if you need a reference point for a metaphor, open water scuba diving certification would be like from this area to this area. Cavern scuba diving certification, where I earned it, would be going scuba diving from here to here. Okay? So cenotes scuba diving, in comparison to Peacock Springs 1 and Peacock Springs 2, would be probably more similar from here to here. Okay? This is where I learned how to utilize my cavern scuba dive gear. I know that there are some that they, use gear that they're not trained to, and that's a problem. Because if you use gear that you're not trained to use, then you teach others in that lazy way in comparison, and then you only breed those types as to that type of scuba diver. And it's already a problem regarding the recreational aspects as to civilian recreational scuba diving. And so I had a massively huge disagreement with an individual who tried to actually talk me out of earning my cavern scuba diving certification, which I had informed him before I went to go, land at the bottom of the Atlantic area, the ocean, that Vandenberg scuba dive. After, I found those forming underwater volcanoes. And by the way, had landed at the bottom of the Gulf of Mexico in multiple locations, each and every scuba dive. At that time frame, prevented a very aggressive moray eel as well as a stingray from going and doing as some of them do, along with who I call googlia. Just an octopi, squid, something another that was bigger than a coral reef. That's all. Prevented that from being any problem. Same thing with a couple of sharks in the area, and I was like, no, this is not how it actually went, but this is the equivalent of no, although there is actually one which I actually so there's an actual picture for one guy that had been there, and he was like, he wanted a picture taken of him, and he was next to a nurse shark, and I'm like, no, you don't. Get away. And so this was like, so where I landed compared to where he landed in regards of in a flip sort of way. So I went to the top of the summit, and he was at the plateau area before getting to the roads, for that reference too, okay? And so, there was this nurse shark that literally had its face, half of its body in the little cave area of this, coral reef. It's like, no, it's kind of like lobster bisque as far as those 3 lobsters. No, that nurse shark just watched me handle business. It's scaredy right now. It just watched me change the color of the water in this area of the Gulf of Mexico. Do you mind? I understand it's a nurse shark. He's a little scaredy right now. Could you not go and be that close to him? That'd be great. And so, because that's really what was going on. The nurse shark was just like, no. Whereas lobster bisque, lobster bisque, they were just like, so that just happened. While I literally scuba dove over an area of a forming underwater volcano, because I was already down there, so it's like, well, I already know what you are. Click. Yeah, might as well. What's up, Noah? How you doing? So there's a little bit of a difference between, civilian recreational scuba diving and my style scuba diving, and when it's okay. So for instructors who don't know as to civilian recreational scuba diving, if you think that cavern scuba diving is just like any other specialty, you literally could be a scuba dive instructor and not be allowed to go into a cavern as far as scuba diving is concerned. You literally could be, no, that's nice. Aw. I could see certain people being like, oh, well, that's nice that you're an instructor, except you're not certified in cavern scuba diving, so you're not actually good enough. Thanks for coming by. Would you like to look at some of the equipment instead? Because otherwise you're just not good enough to do cavern scuba diving. For that understanding for non-scuba divers, that literally for cavern scuba diving, you can fully be rejected as a scuba dive instructor. So that's actually above the level of scuba dive instructor, just for those in case they didn't happen to know that. However, similarly to the justice situation regarding the Supreme Court, I have been capable to have discussions and be friendly with, in an actual friendly way with people that I didn't agree with 100%. I've always had that capacity. It's actually been an annoyance to a few people. So a lot of the stuff that Greg Gutfeld and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham had discussed in regards to, again, the links I'll put in the information area of this section. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, which is the same, regarding the links to my official YouTube channel. To subscribe, I put the links of my official YouTube videos on my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribell.com. And so in those particular references, that individual that I refer to, well, not only was I my background being my background, then I also was, I also had earned more scuba diving certifications, and I also have been allowed in more locations, not just because of the military factors, though also because, of being a cavern scuba diver. So, with that reference back to Caitlyn Jenner, yes, that's my penis on the table right there. And since I am accommodating, I have had many different types of sizes and lengths and widths of strap-ons. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I've acknowledged that, there is that song by Shakira, these hips don't lie. And so, it is as it is. And so, which is an irony because I have a meme that I found. And it says, if you had as many dicks inside of you and the outside of you, you'd be a porcupine. During one of my Medal of Honor art project trips, I ran over a porcupine. and as many strap-ons as I've had over the years, as well as different tools and what's supposed to be considered the consenting adult lifestyle, I actually could make one. You know, hypothetically, in some ways, I could probably make a few. And just for the clarification, you know, then there's my ex-sisters-in-law and a couple of them. And then there's also, you know, that 1986 Dodge Grand Caravan, beige with wood paneling, my biological little sister. And so, I wasn't being mean, just for clarifications. I already did that. So there's that, you know. Again, don't claim that I'm mean, because, you know, if you want something to cry about, anybody who's met my biological father, you know, I survived my childhood. So, just imagine. So I've explained to people when it came to the aspects as to fighting to go into the Army, if you've ever been yelled at by my biological father. So he disagreed with me going into the Army. And I got, as far as military guys who know what smoking is, that's who had, you know, do the push-ups, drop it, because he was a merchant marine, so, you know, then there's that. Yeah, so, you know, this is why I haven't ever understood people that were like, you're so mean, your tone of voice is so mean. You know, perspective, okay? You grow up with that in the household, I don't understand why you would ever think my tone of voice would ever be problematic ever. I have no idea. And then if you grew up with my biological mother in the household, well, you understand anytime where I'm like, well, why are you crying? I didn't. Unless you're laughing so hard that you start crying, that's pretty much the only amount that you're allowed in comparison. Because if you start crying over something, well, then I'll give you a reason to cry about, okay? So don't be making false claims. That'd be stupid. Because I could do that. I could actually give you an actual reason to cry in comparison. So, you know, so for example, I earned 26 scuba diving certifications, and before I booked my trip to go to Cozumel, I had over 100 scuba dive hours. And then there's the background regarding Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment invitation. As far as that's concerned, yeah. So, you know, I was far more humble. I could have been, as many people claimed throughout the years, I could have actually been snobby about that to that individual. I could have. Instead, it was just, yeah. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. No, it's fine. No, it's okay. No, I could totally make you feel where the wee-wee side. Where the wee-wee side. Instead, I'll be kind. It's okay. It's okay. I can be gentle. You know, it's okay. I can be gentle. And since Greg Gutfeld had made a reference, I could be gentle. And I can be romantic, damn it. Okay, I could be romantic. I am so romantic when it comes to fire. Yeah, I am so romantic. Yes, I am. I am so romantic in my own way. I learned how to do fire stuff, so I learned how to do fire cupping and fire wands. That's my romance, babies. That's right. That's my soft and fluffy side, you know. Don't let my scene name and modeling name fool you, but mainly my modeling name more so than my scene name, because I had been in the scene much longer before my modeling name of Lady Dory Bell. Don't let that name fool you. You know, I can make a joke in regards to certain others, and then at the same time, well, isn't that adorable that you think I can be soft and fluffy? Isn't that adorable? You think I can? Aww. I mean, I can. With children, I can be soft and fluffy without any BDSM aspects. So without BDSM, and without what's supposed to be considered the adult consenting lifestyle, which includes swingers, yeah, that's where I could be soft and fluffy. Yes, I can, do that being a mom thing. Other than that, though, if you mess up, remember, my soft and fluffy is just flames. It's just that's my soft and fluffy. That's me being all, it's, that's a different version of warm and fuzzy inside for those who know how fire wands are made, okay? That muslin with the cotton and stuff like that, but still remember there's a metal stick there, so I can make a joke. Here's where I'm a little soft and fluffy. And yet it's still a corset that is, well, this is 6 millimeter double boning on each one here and here and here, and then it's about 8 millimeter boning right there in comparison to 10 millimeter boning, which is more what I'm accustomed to. So this technically is a soft and fluffy corset compared to, 8 millimeter spiral steel boning and 10 millimeter flat boning. Yeah, so this is technically soft and fluffy. Can't you tell with the colors? I'm so soft and fluffy. This is so soft and fluffy, right? I mean, I just have tattoos in the center of my palms and on the outside of my palm. But I can be soft and fluffy. I can. Damn it. I can totally be so soft and fluffy. It's not my fault. I can make a joke, don't play with fire. And so, I don't play. Yeah, no, I don't play. So, you've got those signs as far as that's concerned. And yeah, so when it comes to fire, and it's called fire play, I don't really like that. So I actually learned how to do fire cupping. And not just in the reference to fire cupping in that BDSM aspect. I actually learned traditional Chinese fire cupping. I also, with the energy factors as to what I had learned, not just up to that point in time, but before my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, I actually learned how to do quantum healing and a few other energetic healing aspects. So I learned chakra healing and those particular factors, as well as gemstone therapy and those references. It's a whole kit and caboodle sort of thing. So anyway, in those particular references as to the information regarding this official YouTube video of mine, that'll be in the information area. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel and like my official YouTube videos, as well as share the link to my official YouTube channel videos. And go to my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. In that particular reference as to the inspiration for this particular official YouTube video of mine. So I didn't ever forget my name at all. I explained in person, face-to-face in person, as well as in writing, in regards of the Stoney LaRue concert, as to Cowboys Dance Hall in March of 2013. And I updated my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, on my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. And then there's a new book that I published in 2020, which is called The Modern Day Book, which you can find in my book section in regards of my journal blog as well, some aspects of, on my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. And so while you should refer to finding a silver lining with that modern day book to have a viewpoint as to, in comparison to finding the silver lining, which you can for some aspects, though, you really need that for that clarification, and a bunch of people didn't take me seriously, which is an irony because of how many people complained about how serious I am, whether in regards of scuba diving, which obviously distinguishes between the difference of civilian recreational lazy scuba diving compared to instructors, because instructors actually have to have insurance to be capable to instruct in the recreational civilian scuba diving factors, you know, compared to my scuba diving style. So there's that. And so in those particular references up in Washington State, well, I didn't forget who I am at all. And as I wrote about in my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, www.susanmeling.com, same as www.ladydorybell.com, I had written about how if there were people who knew me in person, face-to-face in person, in the state of Texas, most specifically, I had been honest the whole time. And so I gave them warnings. I told them about my visions. I told them about nightmare that I had in 2nd grade. And Harris Faulkner, on one particular clip, she had brought up, you know, prophecy, which then there's that, because so in my updates regarding my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, those who have read the first book regarding what was supposed to be a fiction book series called Failsafe, the Kennedy Curse Fused with Science Fiction Fantasy. In reference to that clip, pun intended in a not so funny way, my condolences again, Uvalde, Texas. In a different capacity. I've brought up certain things that are a little important regarding situations, and a bunch of people didn't believe that I could see when I was younger. As a child, I was told, oh, you're just a child. And then after my head injury on Palm Sunday in 2000, oh, you just had a head injury, you didn't graduate basic training. And so if you read Failsafe, the first book of that particular series. So again, my condolences. So I made attempts where I could to bring things forward, so that way stuff could actually be assisted, so that way certain things weren't to that level. And so that book I authored, I was just being creative, though, because of, and I explained in the modern day book, I have issues with technology, and so above the Mason-Dixon line at that time, because I hadn't gotten acclimated to certain things. You can see obviously the difference regarding my hair, and so I know that technology is going to be going forward. So because of what I've already dealt with, I've explained in my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, as well on my website, www.susanmeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. I've explained, especially with the updates in the year 2019 and 2020, that what I brought forward before. And so I've done things so that way I can deal with certain factors that I can tell as to. And so in comparison, if you look at my social media, you can check my website, www.susanmeling.com, same as www.ladydorybell.com, or you can find some of my very early official YouTube channel videos. Subscribe to my official YouTube channel. You can see the difference in hair as well as the time. And so I've been doing things to make attempts to actually, despite already having certain situations as to what I've brought forward as to needing to take care of stuff for myself, health-wise, Well, until I can afford to do so, in reference to two different main situations, this is what I can do, so that way it's not as much of a problem, because I know that I'm not the only person who has had certain issues regarding impacts to those vectors. And so with how technology has been more and more common in that aspect of, there are ways to deal with that so it's not as harmful to individuals, I guess is one way to view it. It is an irony for the first time this week. So for those who know, I went scuba diving and I had landed at the bottom of the oceanic area where the Vandenberg had been sunk, though in the abyss in the trench, and I handled a few situations. So I personally hadn't ever heard of this movie called Virus that was in the year of 1999 that came out. It wasn't a movie that I would have been allowed to see anyway, despite fighting to go in the army. And so there's a few ironies regarding that. And so if there's been certain types of vessels that have shipping equipment, so I could only do so much. And so so the Washington State is out in the Pacific area of the oceanic waters. And so I have made a lot of attempts to do what I could to take care of things. And so I have some other work that I'm working on, and as soon as I literally can get those two things situated, well, I can assist in a different capacity completely in those references. And I don't even need to go scuba diving for that. So there, although I do enjoy scuba diving, that definitely would not be any type of, just like any of my other scuba diving, wouldn't be any recreation at all. I did tell people that I wanted to go scuba diving in the Marianas Trench, because I had some business that I thought I needed to handle. And so, you know, it's above the Mason-Dixon line area, I realize that. And so, well, it is as it is, as far as that's concerned. And so it's deeper in regards to where the Vandenberg was sunk. And so I just need to get a few things taken care of. And just in case anybody doesn't know, in the year 2019, there was a situation regarding ironies as to that reference point. And there was a big black tentacle that had come out of the water when I was at the Port of Tacoma. It had taken a few, like I think it was about a month and a half for it to get its tentacle out that far. And then when it had, I don't know if there was any video footage in the area of, but it was in the waves, and it was weird because those who know the Port of Tacoma in that area where I've been before, in the time frames of mainly 2018 and 2019, the waves were just really soft normally, and then all of a sudden the waves started acting-ish kind of like the Atlantic area of the oceanic waters. And so then there was this huge black tentacle that came out and went to go towards where I was. And then it retracted itself, and it was like, yeah, so I've already taken this video in regards to this thing on the ferry regarding from Anacortes out to Friday Rosh Harbor, and you know, here, it's on an Amazon Kindle, so yeah, there's this bucket that had some cords and stuff like that, and so watching this pop culture reference, ironies, okay, fine, I can, pun intended, retract statements. There could be some, you know, it's just certain, so anyway, so that movie Virus, so I went and handled business out where the Vandenberg was, and there was this video I took of a bucket with stuff in it, and so I did what I could as far as that was concerned. 2019 and 2020 and 2021 made some attempts where I could, and it's just one of those, okay, so I know I have to take care of some stuff, but I can only do so much, and then I went to go take care of other stuff, and so it's one of those, so that's an irony regarding the Virus movie, 1999 version, because that's a different capacity. And then I guess maybe this makes sense as to why so many instructors regarding civilian recreational scuba divers were like, what do you mean you want to go scuba diving in the Marianas Trench? Now mind you, okay, so I'm gonna do a little pretend here, okay, like I do every now and then in my official YouTube videos. Subscribe to my official YouTube videos channel, and so picture this, all right? I'm at different areas at different time frames, and I'm sitting down and I'm just, you know, or in some references, I'm, you know, there, and there's other scuba divers, okay? And I've got my MRE, for those who don't know. And so I got my MRE and I'm stirring up my food and stuff like that. And some guys are like, oh, you know, where is it you wanted to go scuba diving? Well, there's two different areas. One area is in the northern areas because I want to see the aurora borealis. So that's why I want to do scuba diving in regards of ice scuba diving. So that way I can see what the species in the water does. So that way, just in case there's anything that needs to be handled. And then the other dream scuba dive that would be really cool would be scuba diving in the Marianas Trench, just because, you know, there's a few things that I might need to take care of and handle. And so, you know, why, what are your guys' dream scuba dives? And they're like, you know, I want to go out to Bermuda, or I want to go out to the Caribbean, or I want to go out to Palau, or I want to go out to Japan, or I want to go to, you know, Australia. And so I'm just like, okay, well, you know, good for you. Yeah, no wonder it's called civilian recreational scuba diving compared to my type of scuba diving. Because, yeah. And so some of the males mainly were like, Susan, why do you think you could go and, you know, scuba dive where the Marianas Trench is? Well, and mind you, I have earned, but at this point, I've earned a couple of my scuba dive certifications. And again, it's throughout the time frame from February of 2009 all the way to essentially October of 2009, random different time frames when I literally pitched my tent. That's not a reference to Caitlyn Jenner, though, you know, technically, what have you. And so it was right there, you know, and that's fine. And so in that reference, couldn't help it, I couldn't. So I pitched my tent and I had my sleeping bag and stuff like that. And so, you know, I can make a joke. So she was born as a he and then became a she. I was born a she, internally a he. And then by technicalities, that's how procreation occurs with a biological female. And so, though I am not a self-fruiting plant, okay, for those who understand gardening, Although going back to scuba diving, this particular reference. So I got my MRE, you know, it's a military term for meal ready to eat, and it was an actual MRE as far as traditional MREs. I went to the Army Navy surplus stores for the boxes of MREs, so those guys know what type of MREs I'm talking about. I had the, you know, the plastic bag that had the little green insert that you pour the water in. That's what I was talking about and wrote about when I went scuba, in reference to my scuba diving. So I had, you know, the actual MREs, and it's like, yeah, no, I got some work to do, you know. For those who know what that reference is of, you know, yeah, no, just waiting for it to, no, it'll be fine. No, it's okay. You know, no, that's cool. And so it's irony regarding Clarence Thomas, regarding the Supreme Court Justice. So some of the other scuba divers were like, why do you have Lunchables? They're like, why do you have Lunchables? These aren't Lunchables. No, why do you have Lunchables? I don't have Lunchables. Does it say Lunchable, or does it say MRE, or meal ready to eat, and then, you know, the typical type of stamp that those who understand what I'm talking about regarding those types of MREs. And the guys were just like, oh, well, we should go to the grocery store. Why? Why should we go to the grocery store? Like, do we have to? So because of these instructors regarding civilian recreational scuba divers, I had to actually pack my shit up to then go to the grocery store with these individuals. Okay? So Richard Thomas started this crap. And so, you know, I have my MREs, I have everything, and it's one of those, I literally drove my Zippy car, so my little Bumblebee car, my VW Beetle. Anybody who knows when it comes to packing stuff for military work, you're not gonna have, you know, all sorts of whatever the way recreational people go camping. So you're gonna have what you need, maybe a little extra just in case. And so this douchebag is all like, you know, maybe because of your head injury, you need to be taught how to eat. Motherfucker. Bitch, you don't know how I cook. I don't know how to cook small. This is the only way I can cook small, is an MRE. That's the only way I can cook small. So this douchebag, all right, he's all, well, I'll let's go to the grocery store. Come on, you know, I'll teach you. Teach me what? Teach me. What you gonna teach me, bitch? And so he's like, no, you had a head injury. Yeah, what the fuck does that have to do with anything, motherfucker? And so we go to the store, it's like, all right, so I pull my wallet out to go pay, and he's like, no, it's okay. The fuck is wrong with you, boy? All right, fine, you know, if you want to pay for steaks, whatever, that's fine, whatever. And so, whatever, you know, I just earned first place in the first chili cook-off I had ever been in the state of Texas. So, you know, let me do a little New Jersey, since so many people know how people from New Jersey are. For those who know about chili cook-offs, know about the state of Texas. First time ever cooking chili. That's right. Yeah. First place. Yeah. Freaking go and take to the grocery store because you think that my MRE is a damn Lunchable, stupid ass civilian recreational scuba dive instructor. My opinion. You know, I like Jim Croce. Bad Leroy Brown. Baddest man in the whole damn town. Badder than old King Kong. Meaner than a junkyard dog. Except one that was born in the Chinese zodiac year, the dog, as a biological female. Although that two-piece custom-made pool cue, it's far as that's concerned. So, you know, no, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So, you know, yeah, which would be the irony if my biological mother was like, no, stupid. She grew up going out to the Atlantic or the ocean. The Gulf of Mexico is nothing like that. If my own biological mother, okay, if she used a swear word, you were in some deep shit. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because Anna, my biological mother, is nothing like I am. Okay, she is nothing like Mike. They are completely two opposite ends of the spectrum. Mike, I very, and so those who met my biological little sister, she's like the soft version of the mixture. And then there's me, who's like, yeah, no, I will be to the whatever. So whatever. So if my biological mother told anyone at International Scuba any swear word at all, you're fucked. Yeah, no, no. It's not me at that point as far as words, because no. Because remember, my biological mother was in information technology in the 1980s and 1990s. She had earned her master's degree in science in the state of New Jersey. So for an example, okay, anybody who knew me in person, face to face in person, no matter how much you complained, okay, if you didn't see that, despite me telling you the truth, if you didn't see that I was going to author, write, and compile books, I don't know how, and if you didn't see how patriotic I am in reference to the United States of America, again, I don't know how, but okay, my Medal of Honor Art Project stuff, and if you didn't see that I, you know, as far as my fine whatever regarding modeling, just give that as a metaphor regarding my biological mother. And so you stirred up that. And so I gave people warnings that my biological mother and my biological father and my biological little sister were denying having been related to me, and I didn't know why, okay? I gave warnings, okay? And so that's your fault as far as that's concerned, because I gave you warnings. I know how my biological mother can be. I have a mother not be doing so. Yeah, no. You embarrassed Patricia. Because any needless problem regarding my stuff, no, let me clarify this for as much as I went through whatever as far as, okay? So those who have met my biological little sister and know how my biological mother and my biological father have been about my biological little sister, yeah, designated decoy, distracted by shiny objects, all right? And so I warned you. I gave warnings about that. Yeah, because I grew up with them. So yeah, sure. So let me clarify this for civilian recreational scuba divers and the instructors of civilian recreational scuba divers. I earned 26 scuba diving certifications. If you informed my biological mother and or my biological father and or my biological little sister, and they knew about whatever, and those particular factors, my biological little sister could have worn a dress. You being my biological little sister could have worn some sort of dress where she could have whatever. No, and do the little prancing around sorts of crap like that, and then name dropping. Again, I told people I don't like name dropping. And so like with me there, Oh, yeah, no, 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 no. If civilian recreational scuba divers were like, oh, she's this way, and if my biological mother was like, and you're stupid because you think you know about the ocean, if my biological mother was like, here, let me show you, after having whatever, and actually got into the Gulf of Mexico, she wouldn't allow the oceanic waters of the Atlantic like go past her ankles, and if it went past her ankles, she ran away. In comparison, if she went into the Gulf of Mexico, yeah, no, that lets you know. And if she used a swear word, ooh, this is like for people who know back in the 1980s, especially, okay, if somebody used a swear word, ooh, that's the equivalent in regards of my biological mother using a swear word. My biological, I've only heard my biological mother use a swear word once and one time only. And that's it. I don't remember what it was about. However, if you in the state of Texas heard my biological mother use a swear word, let me tell you right now, if she used the word bitch, if she used the word shit, oh, you fucked. Oh, no, 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 no. If she used the word fuck in comparison, so let me give this reference, okay? So you can be on the way over here, and I'll just, you know, it's not fair because Tyrus wasn't on the Greg Goffel show. I would totally be hiding behind Tyrus right now if I could. That's to that level, okay? That's that. If she used swear words with you, go over here. No. That's a deacon of a Presbyterian church who had been in, again, let me reiterate this, that's a deacon of a Presbyterian church that she assisted in the governmental aspect for the church to become a historical member of the Historical Society in the state of New Jersey, for anybody who didn't know how, you know, that sort of stuff is in regards of legal stuff and bureaucracy. You may have a small comparison in the state of Texas now that might, in the year 2022, you might be at the 1980s level, okay? You might, compared to New Jersey in the 1980s and 1990s. So you know how you have your little pretty. Yeah, no. That's why I could totally Eminem song. This is why I could walk around like nothing's bothering me, even though half you fucking people got a problem with me because you don't know. Yeah, no, we know how people are from New Jersey. No, you don't. No, she makes Hillary Clinton look kind. Which she could be. She could. So Gutfeld had brought something up. So I got these t-shirts. Bad idea t-shirts, whatever. And so one of the t-shirts, which, you know, okay, you know, I have a twisted sense of humor. And so, yeah, Hitler made the trains run on time. And so, you know, ironically, I thought about like my biological mother. And then because my biological mother worked in technology, and you know, anybody who knows about coding and like Y2K, it's a bad joke, but whatever. You know, there was that issue regarding Y2K, and it was literally about time. And then my biological father literally went to the school of Bulova, had worked on Bulova watches and Rolex watches and Movadas and those wall clocks that have all the little doohickey mabobs and little and all that stuff, and the little, you know, whatever stuff that hangs down, and then the grandmother and grandfather clocks. Yeah. So I thought that was funny because that. And so, I thought it was a funny t-shirt. You know, I wasn't wearing it. I just thought it was a funny t-shirt. You know, it's not like being born in 1986 when a 1986 Dodge Grand Caravan. You know, when you can laugh at yourself, pretty much laugh at a whole bunch of other stuff. So, you know, including other people. Much easier, you know. So it's cool that the Justice Sonia Mayor was like, yeah, that, you know, whatever, we do this and we do that. Well, if Richard Thomas and or any of the other instructors regarding the civilian recreational scuba divers, yeah, no. I actually know how to cook. Like my son, my daughter didn't ever have to worry about food in my house, ever. When I cooked, so for example, that for those who know about that Texas chili cook-off, that there were like 35 some odd people that were in that, I made 2 of those. I made 2 full crock pots. One that was just for my son and my daughter, and then the other one that I took to the scuba dive, and they were both the same size. So yeah, no, just because I took my Bumblebee car, Zippy, the VW convertible, which anybody who has seen a 2007 or 2008, maybe 2009, depending on whatever, VW Beetle trunk space, I had to put 2 scuba dive tanks, my scuba dive gear, which includes my BCD, well actually I had 2 BCDs, I had one of those really big scuba dive bags that I got from International. I had all my gear in there with my fins and all that stuff, my scuba mask and snorkel and all that. And then there was my tent, my sleeping bag, my bottles of water. I didn't want to have anything in the back seat of my car. So, you know, I mean, the case of water or case of Gatorade, no big deal, or case of Powerade, no big deal. In comparison, I don't want to have my scuba dive gear in the trunk, in the open area of my VW convertible soft top Beetle. Like, how stupid do you have to be? I was born and raised in New Jersey. There's reasons why you don't see anybody who has a convertible in the state of New Jersey that goes anywhere. Anybody who is born and raised anywhere in New York, Pennsylvania, or New Jersey, they could tell you, you don't see convertibles except for yuppies who do so, and then that. You don't see that, because if you do, you know to put shit in your trunk. You don't ever leave anything in your car when it comes to a convertible, especially regarding New Jersey. Like, and it don't matter where in New Jersey in the 1980s or 1990s, you stupid in that capacity. But you know, people are as they are. And so I had a VW Beetle. If you have anything of value, you know, like scuba dive gear, yeah. I haven't scuba dove since the year 2010, but that's literally like, how stupid do you have to be? So this is the year 2020, and apparently those civilian recreational scuba divers and instructors regarding civilian recreational scuba divers were too stupid to actually look at the difference to the size of their so they usually drove like excursions and Yukons and F-150s and Silverados and, you know, trucks in comparison. So anybody who knows what a little, okay, fine, she had a turbo engine, that's fine, but it doesn't change the fact it's not an old 1960s, 1970s VW Beetle where you have that large aspect of the trunk where the engine is. Stupid. I told those civilian recreational scuba divers I was pissed off that the VW Beetle, you know, and then Zippy, she had, and this is not in a metaphor, my VW, so she looked like a bumblebee. She was yellow, had a black soft top, convertible area, and black leather interior. And I put glitter eyelashes on her and little flower petal taillight covers, and she literally would have an attitude every now and then. She had her own little personality. And so she had some words every day to a degree. And so every now and then she beep, and then, or her, there actually were times where her little eyelashes would do that. She's a little cute little VW. And so it's my little bumblebee Zippy. And so yeah. So, you know, then she had attitude when it came to some. So then the irony regarding there's literally two individuals that would have the knowledge of. So one would be SCUBA, because SCUBA had been at my house, and I had, you know, he was like, oh, he had seen, like, I was cleaning up food at the time. I was like, oh, you want something to eat? And he's like, no, I didn't. Wow, like, how much food did you cook? A lot. You know, I just made a pot roast with some, you know, I think it was after the little sleepover thingamabob regarding McCoy Elementary School, when my son had that sleepover. It's like, oh, I just made some pot roast with, you know, vegetables, some mashed potatoes, some mixed vegetables. On top of the mixed vegetables, we're going to get the pot roast and tuna casserole. You sure? Like, if you go away hungry, that's your own fault. You know, I got some biscuits, and, you know, they're honey butter biscuits and stuff like that. You want something? No. And that's where he was like, so you should totally enter the chili cook-off. What's chili? Do you mean the restaurant chili? I used to work at Chili's as a to-go girl. And he was like, or to-go female. And he was like, no. But you know how to cook, obviously. Because he saw like all this food, and I was like, are you sure you don't need to? No. All right, fine then. And so there is the Cozumel individual. He didn't see like how much, but he had been in my house. And so that scuba dive individual would be like the only other person who'd be like, yeah, no, like you couldn't go to her house and her not be like, do you want something to eat? Do you want something to drink? Are you sure you don't want something to eat? Are you sure you don't want something to drink? You could have, like, I could make you a cup of coffee. I could make you some tea. I could get you a snack, you know, something like, because just being hospitable, you know. And so, you know, as far as that's concerned, don't say that I didn't offer. If you don't like what I made, then that's you. I mean, there's my housewarming party where I made ham, and I made brisket, and I made pot roast, and I made my seafood spinach dip, and I cooked, I cooked brisket. I also cooked hamburgers and hot dogs and bratwursts. And like, I like to cook. Like, I don't know how to cook little at all. And so in order to cook little, I have to have an MRE. I have to get a Lunchable. It's the only way I know how to, you know, okay, fine, I didn't graduate basic training. Like, again, my biological mother and my biological father were a deacon and a trustee at a church that had a congregation in the 1980s and 1990s of over 250 people. Yeah, no, I know how to cook. Seriously, like, ugh. I mean, you know, then there's Club Sapphire, where I cooked something like 50 or 60 or 75 different pies for Christmas time one year. And that's like, well, you know, I feel like cooking. My son had like 3 or 4 pumpkin pies just for himself. And then the caramel pecan pie. I was like, there you go, whatever. I didn't ever teach him how to bake my stuff. And no, that's fine. And here you go, there's that. And so, then there was the other pie. And then there was the pies for the actual Christmas dinner. And so, if that was in regards of that backpack situation, because of civilian recreational lazy scuba divers and or civilian recreational lazy scuba dive instructor types that taught those, no, you stirred up needless drama. You know what? You were proud to vote for 44. I can tell why. Now I know why you're proud Democrats. There's that difference between a Southern Democrat and not knowing it, because I look as I do, in comparison to a Northern Democrat. Yes, that's how that goes. Yeah. So you just think about that as far as that. And if you pissed off, so if my biological little sister didn't get to be all like, oh, no, and then have pictures, oh no, oh no, because no, in regards of me, no, and then I actually achieved something that was first place. Oh yeah, no, anybody from St. John Vianney High School would know how that would be in regards of. And then there's, Crystal Lake South High School. You've seen how that, no, stupid civilian recreational scuba dive instructor morons. Yeah, my opinion though. My opinion. Yeah, and then I got made fun of because I was like, so I'll just go scuba dive at the Marianas Trench, handle some business, put some, take care of stuff. It's no big deal. It is as it is. And they're all like, are you sure? Well, I, again, got my MRE, like actual official MRE. And, Again, I can also go on military installations because I'm, blue ID card holder. So, then there's those aspects because you can purchase MREs in certain locations on post, which I did. I did both. I got the surplus types as well as on military installation as far as that's concerned. Thank you very much. So, have my food. Need some. Sure, the steaks were, they were okay. But I am as I am when it comes to barbecuing, and so I know better. I know to respect I know better than some people, obviously. I know better as far as that's concerned. And so I actually made attempts to be like, you want me to help you actually cook that? And they're like, no, it's okay. It's okay. We'll do it. So any female who's been in scuba diving, especially certain types, if you've been in what's supposed to be the consenting adult lifestyle. If you know about Thanksgiving 2010, so picture this, Clear Spring Scuba Park. Bunch of males bring out like kitchen, like actual sink kitchen stuff. I got my tent. And so they go and set up the whole, kitchen, little doohickey mabob. They got a different type of grill. They got this, whatever. And I'm just like, so you should probably do this and do this and do a little experience before Thanksgiving. And so, and the irony of ironies as far as that's concerned, but that is as it is. So, it's just one of those, yeah. And, I didn't bring up being in what's supposed to be the consenting adult lifestyle community at that point in time until 2010 in the official capacity. As far as Temple of Flesh is concerned in 2009, well, that was October in comparison to, February all the way through October. And so, yeah. Yeah. So, and then anybody that I've ever dated, like this is an irony. So, who I was engaged to, which is, where I was all romantic with that fire and stuff. Um, he knows about the food inside my house as well as my cooking. Then, I mean, there is who I was a mentor to regarding Philip, and he had seen how much I cooked. Then you have in regards of Patrick. I mean, Patrick, I had made my seafood spinach dip, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get extra. And he was like, why are you gonna get extra? And I was like, oh, I have a feeling that when you try my seafood spinach dip, that you're not gonna it's not gonna be enough for just a normal whatever. And he was like, yeah, right. And so James, my son, had heard me. My daughter was in the hospital at the time. My son goes, you're gonna make seafood spinach, you're gonna make seafood spinach, you're gonna make seafood spinach, you're gonna make seafood spinach. Yes, I am. And you're gonna make extra? You're gonna make extra? Yes, it's okay. Oh, and then he looks at Patrick, and anybody regarding my pies, as far as especially my ex-mother-in-law, regarding that, as far as that's concerned, when it came to my caramel pecan pie, my ex-sister-in-law and her children, as far as my pumpkin pies, you know how that. So my son's like, he looks over at Patrick, and he's just like, just so you know, my mom is making seafood spinach dip for me. And Patrick was like, well, whatever, as far as, and my son goes, are you trying to insult my mom's cooking? Are you really going to try to insult my mom's cooking? And it was one of those, it's okay, handsome man, it's okay. It's okay. It's just, you don't know. I'm going to learn, so, I figured my own. As far as that's concerned. And so I made that, and, I only did a double regarding the recipe, but then, well, kind of, I had to use every container I had to cook. Like every tuna casserole dish, the various sizes. I had bread containers to cook bread. I had to use all of those. I had like 5 of those on top of the 2 different sets of the tuna casserole size dishes. All that Cornell type of cookware. I mean, I had like 10 to 15 bowls full, and they were, and so it's just one of those, and it didn't last a whole week. It did not last an entire 7 days, and everybody was just, James was happy because he's like, and then everybody else was just, as far as like Patrick was concerned, he's just like, at first he was like, well, I guess I could try it and see what it's like, whatever, and then, don't you? And I was like, did you just step at my son? Don't you make me hurt you for that. And I'm not saying your seafood spinach dip is good at all. This is my bowl though. It's mine. It's mine right now, and it's mine. It's mine. It's mine. Didn't your parents ever teach you to sit up straight in comparison? So, which is funny because I had this one little black cat. Okay, her name was Teeners. And I was growing catnip. I had it on a top shelf area, okay? And Teeners literally could only fit in the palm of my hand. She was that tiny. And she would try to get to the chair, so the area of the hallway in my first house, my San Antonio house, there was the stairs, and then at the stairs was the wall, then this chair rail area that had, prevented people from falling over. And so she would try to jump up to get onto that, to then, because at first, what she tried to do was jump from the floor to up here. And she was no taller than the molding right there. And so she tried at first to get up here. And what I would hear when I'd be downstairs would be, and then randomly I'd hear, so I go and ninja, the irony of ironies in comparison to Sailor Moon of ninjaing down the stairs. I had to ninja up the stairs, okay. What? And I see Teeners running as fast as she can. She gets to like here and rolls backward, shakes her head. She's like that little black and white cat from the Warner Brothers cartoon with the big bulldog, kind of like that. Okay. And so then, after several weeks of the catnip growing up here, she can only get here. So she stops doing that, and then instead of having the entire length of the hallway, she has a less, area. It's so like the chair rail area is like about here. Okay. Again, right here. Teeners is trying to get to here to then try to get to up here, but has much less of a distance. So she has about like 4.5 feet, maybe 5, of width compared to about 20-25 feet of running. Okay, and so she ran and then got about here and but she thinks that she can do 1/3 of the distance to get to here, and she doesn't even run. Like at first she just went from here and then just face planted essentially. And then trying to get to here, okay? So then she backs up to the wall and then runs and gets to here. Stupid cat. Stupid. So then by the time that this catnip, it's about 5-6 inches tall in the planter, okay? Because at the top of the stairs I had a shell-shaped window that, was perfect for gardening. So okay, pull the catnip down, and Teeners is sort of thing. As I'm walking down, it's like, it's okay, I'll give you the catnip in a minute. As far as my legs, anybody who's ever had a cat. And so, all right. And so my dog Ganesh is, what's going on? Chill, it's okay, boy. Sit. Good boy. Teeners is like cats do. And so as I start to bring it down, Teeners jumps into the catnip and so then there was Patrick, and so he was doing this the way this little itty bitty teeny tiny Teeters was doing, and it was just but Teeters, she would put her paws around it, and then she'd jump in and jump out and jump in and jump out, and then put her paws around it. And so, I guess, I don't know if there's a bit of an irony in regards to other things, but it is as it is. Whatever, it is as it is. It is as it is. And so, yeah, those particular factors. And so, it is as it is, nonetheless. So, if in regards of scuba diving, that had to do with that as to McCoy Elementary School because of being too stupid to ever think, and there are those factors, and, people being nosy when they're not invited to those types. And so Caitlyn Jenner had brought something up about someone knowing people's children's names and birthdays and ages and stuff like that, which it wouldn't be a surprise regarding those types of civilian recreational scuba divers, though more so the instructors of. And if that's what you are teaching, you know, similarly to if you utilize cavern scuba dive gear, though you're not cavern scuba dive certified, then you run into problems, because why would you, as a biological adult, have the names of other people's children? Why would you have their birthdays and those sorts of in any hypothetical of? You know, it was one thing in regards of how I had scolded a instructor, and you know, you shouldn't be using cavern scuba dive gear if you're not certified in cavern scuba diving at all. You're giving a false impression. You have a bunch of these millennials that are coming up. You're going to teach them a bunch of stupid crap, and they're going to kill themselves because of how irresponsible of a scuba dive instructor you are. You cannot do this. You have to lead by example. And so we went back and forth, and he was like, no, it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, no, you have no idea what some of these millennials are going to be as. You have no clue. They are emanating certain things. And so we went back and forth, and he was like, you don't really know. And it's like, I'm telling you, I know exactly what's going to happen. You're ignorant if you think that it's ever gonna be different. Not with the way that is. No, not at all. So that's why, especially in regards of, it didn't matter how many times I got called snobby in any area. It was one of those, education in regards of scuba diving is important. It is more important for you to discover scuba diving and see if you can actually handle it, so that way you don't waste money on gear that would just not be worthwhile anyway. Number two, in that reference, you will actually know whether or not you can handle it in comparison. You might just be capable to go snorkeling instead, because it might not be okay enough for you to descend in the waters in the pool. And if you can't descend in the waters in the pool, not only do you waste your time, though you also waste the instructor's time, because they could be working on whatever their other employment is, and or doing other things in comparison. So it's a win-win-win all the way around in comparison to this other stuff, which certain civilian recreational scuba dive instructors were like, why are you doing that? Because why would you have more of a production of products in the same line with a bunch of people as they are if they're not educated? And these particular factors of when these companies would have much better time to actually work on upgrading their stuff in comparison to wasting in regards of, because there's so many other things that they could do with scuba dive gear instead as to these particular factors. I got into it, and anybody who knows, especially in the civilian areas regarding what's supposed to be the consenting adult lifestyle, if I argued with you about anything, well, you can just envision how that went in regards of scuba dive gear. And so, you know, I went over certain things with some guys that they're like, you know, what would you, well, if you actually take in consideration the mechanisms inside of the actual regulator in comparison, and then the mouthpiece as far as this is concerned, if you do this, and went round and round and round and round, especially in Austin. And so it was one of those particular situations of, and you know, it is as it is. Though, in that particular reference, yeah, okay, fine, I was outnumbered as far as the amount of situations that I was dealing with, and yet at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that my background is my background, my upbringing is my upbringing, learning to grow up regarding doing this swimming that I learned how to do, which you can read about in my 3-volume book series, The Adventures of Susan Mealing, Scuba Diver Extraordinaire. Make sure to get Finding a Silver Lining at the same time if you're going to do that regarding my book section, as to my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. and look through the journal blog as far as my journal blog, The Ornery PSA. Subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, and if you're going to leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect, though there are those particular factors. Because if you teach okay, it's one thing to say recreational scuba diving, it's another thing to actually do games, because I went to camp and we called it Marlboro Recreational Camp. You have certain things like that in civilian, it's better, and I dealt with a bunch of these civilian recreational scuba dive instructors because I told them, you better just call it civilian scuba diving in comparison to recreational scuba diving in the civilian sector, because of the way certain things are going. You don't understand what you're doing in regards of certain people, because you have these different prescriptions that some of these individuals are on. And so with those particular focus points, you have to actually pay attention. If you actually care about life, you have to take this in serious consideration. And a bunch of them were like, oh, what do you know? You're just a mom. You didn't graduate basic training, the Army. What does that have to do with scuba diving? And, there are probably some moms who do, no. What would you do that for? What, do you think we want a bunch of, girls like you in scuba diving? Why? And this actually happened. So you have the outnumbered show where there are 3 to 4 females to 1 male. Switch it up. As far as that was concerned, and it was at night, and it was at Lake Travis as well as at Clear Springs Scuba Park. Why? Why would we want a bunch of girls like you running it? Excuse me? You mean strong, independent females who know how to handle business, don't play games, actually put stuff in place and do what it is that's needing to be done, in comparison to throwing whiny little titty baby bitch temper tantrums while you go and have your assumptions in that capacity? Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, that's nice. My biological mother had this saying, that's nice, for you, as far as your small pea brain size of the thought. I have 2 Great Danes at that point in time. I have 2 Great Danes, and I bet you my dog Ganesh, who's afraid of flutterbys and sparrows, has more balls than you do. And this is before going scuba diving the next day. And so, in comparison to whatever you might think you'd be good enough to be. I don't know who you think you're talking to, or in your case talking at, but that's nice for you, because I don't know who you think you're talking to or talking at. You don't know who you messing with. So you might want to back off, because you're allowed to have recreational civilian scuba diving at this point in time because of me. You're allowed. So there's those who know what Mimi I'm referring to. And so you're allowed to have that this year. And as far as when I take care of business, you're allowed. Don't ever, it's always best if I'm in a good mood. Keep that in mind. Because, you don't ever want me to be in a bad mood when it comes to any point in time. Got it? Good. And so, there's the other factors as to, it is as it is regarding, I've been working on quite a few things all at once at the same exact time. And similarly to the Outnumbered show and Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham and Greg Gutfeld and the Five, on Fox News. And yes, there are certain factors as to CNN and MSNBC and ABC and those factors, but in regards of Fox News, they tend to talk more about a multitude of factors regarding the interconnected portions, where yes, it's important to focus one by one, but sometimes certain things cross over and intermix. And that's why I've kind of really liked Fox News in that way, not just because they'll have both sides of an opinion as best as possible, but also because they tend to actually go a little bit more in depth. So in one of the things that Laura Ingraham brought up is how the Navy has a new video regarding the LGBTQP situations. Well, I would guesstimate, because when you have the waves from the 1940s, 1950s situation, and whatever records were sought into, and I'm going to guesstimate, I don't have the knowledge of, and if the Pentagon went and took a look into that, as well as other situations as to the 6888th Postal Battalion, and those females, as far as that's concerned, and where the Army had initially the don't ask, don't tell, but you don't have certain things because of the way certain branches are. I wouldn't be surprised if some of that has to do with that. And when you take into the knowledge as to what normally is as to a submarine, as well as to a crew deck ship, whatever type, as far as, yeah, sure, you have female fighter pilots, that's awesome, but there's also other situations to take into that consideration. And it also wouldn't be a surprise, because depending on what the background is, so you have a lot of people who go into the armed forces of the United States of America from all over, and you have to have where they have that understanding, and they come from whatever background they come from. And so if they come from whatever religious background, all you have to do is, it's not to be gruesome, it's just facts. If you take a look at the symbols as to the veteran cemeteries, as far as all the different religions, well, that's all the different religions that have been within the armed forces of the United States of America over all of these decades. And so while that is the only factor that most people really register, if they register that, there are just as many different Jewish types to, those degrees, just as many Christian types as to those degrees, just as many, I don't know how many regarding the peaceful Muslim aspects. I'll be honest on that. I know that there are different levels, but there is the peaceful type in the comparison. And so you have that where they all come together in regards of whatever squad, unit, brigade, base, branch, division, what have you. And so if they don't have the way to communicate with one another in comparison, and then when you take in consideration that the Army already has had a female sniper graduate and female rangers, from what I remember regarding news stories. Well, I don't know if they have, you do have the Coasties having the first female commander, again, congratulations. And then you have the Air Force, and yes, the Navy and possible Marines regarding the fighter pilot jet, or the jet fighter pilots, as well as helicopter pilots, maybe, in reference to what would be the equivalent of Navy SEALs. There's that factor to take in consideration. And so when I had fought to be in the Army, after I had been invited to Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment, I had informed people of this in person, face-to-face in person in discussions. There's prior official YouTube videos of mine. Make sure to subscribe and like my official YouTube channel videos, and share the link to my official YouTube channel videos. If you're going to leave a comment, be sure to have etiquette and respect. Go to my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribell.com. Remember, I was 17 years old when I had fought to be in the Army. Now, I had already been invited to attend Marine and Science Technology School with the Navy attachment, and that whole situation, the way it went. I fought to be in the Army because I wasn't willing to allow certain things to stop me, because I knew that there was important factors of. And so when you take in consideration the formation of the U.S. Space Force, there's already been NASA for however many decades. I had brought in my interview, I had 3 interviews, I had discussed that I would swim out to the buoys and back at that time. And I had, certain training regarding my babysitter and my babysitter's husband. Babysitter's husband worked at the World Trade Center and World Trade Center Plaza as director of security, and they both came from the island areas over by Puerto Rico, or the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. And so it's one of those, and you know, there's certain things that you learn, and I had to really stand my ground regarding Marine and Science Technology School. I don't even remember any other females that were at the test taking when I went for my ASVAB. I don't remember any females in reference to my essay portion of the test. I don't remember any females, other than myself, of course, in regards of the interview process, as far as any of the interview applicants, except for if their mom was there. And that was it. And so I don't really know other than that. Then you have, in regards of the Army, where I had said, well, I want to be infantry, and then the male was like, well, you can. Well, no, I can. Then there was cavalry, combat arms, MP, and all that, and it basically was the same thing, no matter what, regarding those four. And it was, you know, well, MP, it was because of my weight. That's what it was. It was my weight. And I was 17 years old, and because I was 17 years old, that MP aspect, because of, I can't remember what legality, probably having to do with DUI or DWI situations, to that factor. But in regards of the situations as to the Army, as to infantry, cavalry, combat arms sorts of things, sniper, scout, recon, all that sort of stuff, was, well, you don't have something. Well, you know, at that point, my MEP station was in Chicago. I could go down a few blocks, find a store, and go and get, you know, there's an equivalent of in the box porcupine making sort of situations. You know, I mean, what size you need, what color, you know, I'm sure there's a little bit of glitter in a few of them sort of situation. And, you know, it was as it was. And instead I went into logistics because all of those guys do need supplies no matter what, and there is my background clearance and stuff like that, but it was as it was. Nonetheless, you know, I made my attempts as best as I could, and I did the best I could, and within the first 12 hours of being in basic training, I stood up against so anybody who's been to 0 week regarding basic training, obviously. So we got off of the buses, those who understand this, we got off of the buses, because there were 2 or 3 buses if I remember, and we went to the check-in, whatever, and then we got put in the bay areas, and within that 12-hour time frame, those who know how many drill sergeants there are regarding that number, I stood up. I was like, no, that female's hair, her braids are within UCMJ regulation. And so for those who understand that, 17 years old, first basic training that they were making that kind of what have you as far as that was concerned, and I stood my ground. And that female, she was capable to keep most of her braids because she was dealing with the 2 or 3, whatever, until they could get the UCMJ viewpoint from JAG. And so because she needed the singeing, essentially, for those who know what I'm talking about, I went in line, I'll get my hair cut. Just because. I know it's not the same. I know I'm not African American. I know my cousin and my grandmama, you know, I know for a fact that them and their friends, they'd understand. Sure, there's grandpapa to a degree as well who'd understand, and Jade's dad, but, you know, I can't not. You know, I can't, and it's irony because when we were in the P Extra, she looked at me and she was like, yeah, but, you know, you already got it where I could have my hair in braids. Yeah, well, I just want to make sure I do a double stamp on that. So that way it's not that way there's no misunderstanding. And she was just, girl, how old are you? I'm 17. She was in her, I think she was in her mid-20s, and she was just, where'd you come from? Because I think she was from below the Mason-Dixon line. I can't remember where. And it was just New Jersey. Although, you know, I got my driver's license in Illinois, but it is what it is. And she was just, wow, okay. Wow. Shit. Whatever. You know, just that way, that's just in case. Just in case. I don't know who's paying attention regarding that, but I've taken my stand twice. So that way it's absolutely understood, because that I understand that. You know I don't have the same hair. I know that for a fact, but it is what it is. And so I know that the braids, and I was explaining it, well, as I was explaining it, I didn't see one of the groups of drill sergeants. She did it. She just kept, you know, because anybody who's ever been in a situation like that. So, like, yeah, you know, as far as your hair is concerned, you're not, I mean, you know your hair better than I do, but you can't use certain shampoo because of the way your hair is. You can't use certain conditioner, even though it's conditioner, because it's just as, it's in some conditioners, it's actually just the equivalent of shampoo to your hair. And she was like, yeah. I was like, and you have to use certain types of oil for your skin, and you have to use certain types of oil regarding your hair too, depending on, in regards of during basic training, it makes perfect sense because, you know, there's the mud pits and there's all that sort of stuff when we go out to the field. And so the braids being the way they're done, you know, because she didn't have for those who know, the ones that have I don't know what they're called, where they do the different braided designs, and it wasn't like my cousin Jade's hair where it was, you know, the squares and then the ponytail and then that sort of, it wasn't that. It was just the braids. They were just, you know, there, and I don't know what that style is called. And, you know, it's just easier because if you, with the singeing at the end of, you don't have any of the little doohickey mabobs in comparison. So with the singeing at the end, you know, if you get mud in your hair, you can easily just, you know, let the mud dry, break it out, and just kind of do that, and then throw a little bit of oil in there. I know what type of whatever. And she was just, oh, wow, you know. And I was like, yeah, and you don't want to have mayonnaise, so. She's like, yeah, no, not in basic training. Yeah, no, no mayonnaise, no. Although, and she's like, yeah. Well, then the drill sergeants walked up and they're like, so you actually know what you're talking about? Yeah. Yes, I do. And so, so anybody who knows how that is, and, you know, it's like just the second day of basic training regarding that. So, you know, yeah. So it is as it is. Nonetheless, regarding scuba diving and those particular references regarding females, as to, I wouldn't be surprised in reference to the situations as to what Laura Ingram had brought forward in regards of the Navy video as to the LGBTQP pronoun situations, because of I don't know as far as submarines, if they have allowed females to be in reference to submarines. I don't know in reference to Navy SEALs, if they've allowed females to be Navy SEALs before. In regards of the Marine Corps, I don't know if they've had the MARSOC, or I call them MRARs, before. And so as time is going on, as well as the formation of the U.S. Space Force, it makes sense to me for this particular commentary as to those particular factors, and in regards of similarly but differently. So if you're truthful about your background, if you're truthful about that, So I dealt with, in regards of medical hold unit, there was a situation as to the rave and Brackenridge. And yeah, I survived that, and I got in trouble for certain things, though I made attempts to explain. In medical hold unit, they didn't understand. In CID, I had a multitude of questions regarding that, and then I think it was the second time of being questioned, then we didn't know that you were from New Jersey. And yeah, I was born and raised there. And so they had brought in a guy, if I remember, who was from New York City, and he was just like, so you know about raves? Yeah, I just wanted to go dance, that's all it was. And so they had explained some things, and this is after finding a little yellow piece of paper where I was like, what's the special for this and stuff like that, and he's so special. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna be special. Yeah. And yeah, go do. Rah. I'd be so rah. You know, when I was in my BDUs, a whopping 17 years old. Be rah. Go rah. And so they had said something that there had been certain issues, and you know, at that point I was only, I don't even know how many months, so I don't even know if it was a few months that I had been awake from my coma at that point in time, and I had a subarachnoid hemorrhage in the frontal lobe of my brain at that point in time, very, very much so. It was still the year 2000, and so, well, and so then one of the other guys came in, and he had a black suit. He didn't have a white button-down shirt, though he had a black tie. And he was like, so you have memory deficits. I can remember this now. Whatever, who said that? And talked with your neurologist, talked with this person, all this sort of stuff. Well, you know, they're doctors. I mean, it's a medical practice, but, you know, they're doctors. So, you know, I don't know what the words would be. And so the guy had said that he had checked into a few things additionally, and he was just like, do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth for the rest of time? Yeah, why wouldn't I? And he was just, no, you come from this, and he knew about the church and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay, yeah. But just making sure that you'll tell the truth. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, I did the best I could. I have no idea what that guy looks as because, well, the walls were white and I had just woken up from a coma. And so I could easily see the black color compared to the white walls and the fluorescent white light. And I know that the shirt wasn't white, the button-down shirt, but I don't remember what color it was. But I know it wasn't white because of the walls and the light, as far as I was concerned. could easily distinguish that difference. And yeah, and I remember he had this pocket, and it had a handkerchief, and it had a little watch, or those who know what I'm talking about, a watch chain regarding, so he had a tie clip, and he had a watch chain, and I just remember because it was shiny. And he was like, why? Because I kept looking at it. He's like, well, why do you keep looking at it? He kind of went like this, which was funny because he was a male. And he's like, what are you looking at? A male doing, not Caitlyn Jenner, who became a transition, no, a biological male, and he's just, why are you looking at it like that? What are you doing? You're me. And I just asked, is that a stopwatch? Or is that a watch? And he was like, actually, yeah. And he pulled it out, and he was like, how'd you know? I was like, oh, my biological father is certified by the School of Bulba. And he was, oh, did you ever help him with work on top of your mom doing it? Oh, well. Oh, yeah. Well. I have no idea who the guy was. He didn't have BDUs on, so he didn't have a tape. I have no idea who that guy would be. But hi. I grew up in stuff. I think he had an accent, but I'm not certain. But I couldn't place the accent. It is as it is, though, you know. And so then stuff went on the way it did. So there's my updates to my journal blog regarding from 2019 to this year in 2022, the 20th of June, regarding my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. And so in that reference as to Caitlyn Jenner's comment about name stuff, well, I didn't forget my name, though I did acknowledge how I was up in Washington State, as far as that is concerned. And so those particular factors. And so there's that regarding that. And then there's, you know, my Medal of Honor art project trips. If you look through the modern day book, which is the link to the Amazon page in my book section on my website, www.susanmealing.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. And those situations, which, you know, I mean, if you're patriotic, you would appreciate my Medal of Honor art project artwork, but only if you're patriotic. If you enjoy constitutional rights, well, then my Medal of Honor art project shouldn't be a problem to you. If you don't like constitutional rights and you're not a patriot to the United States of America, I don't know why you would have a problem with my Medal of Honor art project at all. I didn't ever see in any capacity regarding that. So there is, in reference to my journal blog, The Ornery PSA, regarding my website, and so there's my Medal of Honor art project, and there's also the situations as to the connected aspect. Again, look at my recent journal blog posting. Today is the 21st of June, 2022, and you know, there's the aspects of, well, I'm a tomboy, and so I had written several journal blogs regarding the Ornery PSA, referencing my website, www.susanmealing.com, and the aspects as to before the transfer, before beginning the creation of my Dr. Mary Edwards Walker collection, and various differences, because my Medal of Honor art project is not the same, though it is in some ways similar as to, in some capacities of, to my Dr. Mary Edwards Walker collection. So in comparison to my Medal of Honor art project regarding those factors, well, similar to the 6888th Postal Battalion and similar to Waves and a few other factors, I already went over the individual letters in comparison. And so there's only so much information regarding female involvement before the current time frame, as I've explained. And so in that spirit as to how a female is considered a tomboy or a female biologically in that reference too. So it's like a reverse aspect in a spiritual capacity, though not the exact same, for a reference point in regards of Caitlyn Jenner and other trans individuals, where internally they have this whatever viewpoint and externally as far as how that came about. Well, if you believe in reincarnation and those particular aspects the way I do, well, then you shouldn't have a problem regarding my Medal of Honor art project, as not just to my Medal of Honor art project artwork, though also the connected factors as to my Dr. Mary Edwards Walker collection. Because of, you could have any situation too that could be, you have the first female vice president of the United States of America right now, 48, Kamala Harris. You have the first female commander regarding the U.S. Coast Guard. I can't remember which branch it is. You have a few top level ranks. I know, I don't know officially, though if I remember the very little I know, I believe there's on the Gutfeld, again, I'll put the link in the information section, there'd be KT McFarland, who would have that sort of knowledge regarding that. You have plenty of females throughout these more recent decades, especially above the Mason-Dixon line and larger cities, where they've had to be more masculine despite being feminine physically. And so, or whatever capacity of, I mean, it depends on what clothing, where they're at, depending. And so with the formation of the U.S. Space Force, I wouldn't be surprised as to different branches and divisions, not just of the Army or the Air Force or the Coast Guard or the Marine Corps or the Navy. You've obviously got the FBI, the CIA, Homeland Security, Marshals. You've got local, state, and federal law enforcement in those references. And if females can maintain and sustain, the minimum standards as far as that's concerned, and they have that call to action, that internal sensation, especially in this time frame of the year 2022, regarding individuals who were either in and or signed up because of the 1993 aspects as to Desert Shield and Desert Storm, and then you take in consideration those who, similar though a bit more, as to after the attacks on the 11th of September in 2001, well, how many females, other than, I had my nightmare when, I was in second grade, and so I had the vision as far as the prophesying is concerned, and so I made what attempts I could. How many females in the year 2001 were ready to pull out their arms and go where they could? You have someone such as Condoleezza Rice, you have Loretta Lynch, as far as a few individuals, if I remember correctly, and those are just a few that I can think of from different news reports. So you have those reference points as to those situations to take into consideration, and how long, how many times. I'm sure there are females as to NASA, as to the 6888th Postal Battalion, as to waves and so on and so forth from World War II. You have females in regards of the Korean War and Vietnam War, to take that viewpoint of. You have the knowledge that the Marine Corps, the way they have mainly done their basic training, as two females in comparison to males. And so in my viewpoint, I don't see any issues in that capacity, especially, I'm sure obviously there are more than one or two females in regards of NASA or whatever space station type. You have Air Force fighter pilots and Navy fighter pilots, and they've been found to be capable to have better attention to detail during aerial aspects of, because of certain things. If I remember reading I can't remember where I read these reports, but I do remember reading where females have had the capacity to multitask in regards of fighter pilot situations. And so with that formation of the U.S. Space Force, well, I believe in reincarnation. And so in that regard, in some ways, Caitlyn Jenner does have that in the reverse aspects, though a physical representation, as to where, okay, she was born as a he, and internally, she being she. Well, in regards of my Medal of Honor art project, and it's whoever, as far as they could have been straight, they could have been gay, they could have been bi, they could have been whatever LGBTQP in that reference. You don't know. And if you believe in reincarnation, then there's that. And even still, individuals who may have been inspired, hopefully in a positive way, regarding my Medal of Honor art project artwork, then there's those situations and those considerations. And so with the Pentagon having released more documents, as Jesse Waters has reported, among Tucker Carlson and others, even in regards to TMZ having reported some, there's that factor to take in consideration. If I remember correctly, I don't know if it was Bill O'Reilly or Sean Hannity or Glenn Beck who had brought up that Ronald Reagan, before he became president of the United States of America, had discussed with someone some sort of situation, and there were lights in the sky or something like that. And there's also the Big Blue Book, or the Blue Book Project. So there's a few factors to that to think about, in my opinion. Not just in regards of, like the Vandenberg area, and then there's Vandenberg as far as General Hoyt S. Vandenberg. And then you also have, those different areas, the oceanic waters. There's a Tic Tac video that's literally from a Navy pilot's point of view. So, common sense. Those 10 commandments, more important than some might think, possibly. So, thanks for tuning in to my official YouTube video. Subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like and share my official YouTube channel video. Go to my website, www.susanmeeling.com, which is the same as www.ladydoribelle.com. I didn't hide at all. It wasn't until, I think it was 2017 or 2018, only one group of people and only one person, which is an irony regarding Dr. Mary Edwards Walker, a female had said, Susan, you remind me of the character Dory from Finding Nemo and Finding Dory. And I said, I went by Lady Doribelle and all that sort of stuff, but because of, in regards of a location such as Club Sapphire, well, that's different. Sure, in the state of Texas at Temple of Flesh, but I didn't start out as Lady Doribelle in the scene. I started out as Susan, or Susan Meeling. I didn't start out as Lady Doribelle. So in 2004 and 2005, I wasn't known by that name. I was known as Susan Meeling in comparison. So that Grady's barbecue area and the building in the back area, as far as December of 2004, Susan Meeling. Didn't have the name of Lady Doribelle. And in reference to lady, well, there's obviously the biological female, though more in reference to nobility. And if you know anything about Cantonese Mandarin aspects, it's homage to my Buk Pu because of certain standing points as to being half Cantonese and half Mandarin in comparison to my Bakong, who had been Cantonese. And there's several other factors in that reference. And then Dory, well, there's different types of boats. And so in that regard to that reference of my scuba diving, and Bell regarding, well, there's the Liberty Bell, there's that, but there's also the situation of, yeah, okay, I like Tinkerbell, but because I mean, there's fairies and dragons and that reference, and mer people and so on and so forth. And then there's also, I like Beauty and the Beast. And Belle had been my favorite character regarding Disney at that point in time in my childhood. And it wasn't until after waking up from my coma of seeing Mulan, well, you could spell Mulan with my name. So if you take the capital M and the capital L from Mi Ling, which is my middle name, and instead of the two S's regarding Susan, but you just move it in the exact same position over, you spell Mulan from Susan Mi Ling. And it's just the two capital letters, as far as that's concerned. So, always known. But, you know, went over that other stuff thinking it was important to bring that forward. That's why honesty is important. So, you know, there is the irony regarding CID as to 2000 and the rave in Brackenridge, and how I had explained that there was a female that went by the moniker of Princess Jasmine in that scene at that time. And so they thought that because I couldn't watch any movies above a G rating and all that sort of stuff in comparison. So a few situations. So yeah. Although I do like the fact that Caitlyn Jenner, for some of the reports I've listened to, she had said, you know, very much, and I've had this viewpoint too, but she had brought forward that females biologically as two different competitions, females. Males biologically, competition, males. And yeah, okay, transgender if you want to do it in the male competition, or having that third category in that reference too. I very much agree with that. So, personal opinion. So you guys have a good day. Today is the 21st of June, 2022. Make sure to subscribe to my official YouTube channel, like my official YouTube videos, share the link to my official YouTube channel videos, go to my website, www.susanmiling.com, which is the same as www.ladydorybell.com. If you leave a comment, make sure to have etiquette and respect. So, today is the 21st of June, 2022.